I think the main challenges for logistics for life sciences, and particularly for cell therapy, are around the transport of material that needs to be cryogenically preserved. There's not a lot of large-scale technology out there right now. I mean, all of the technology, dry shippers, CO2 shipments, whatever else, have all been based around small individual shipments of single or very few samples. So, I mean, when you're talking about needle to needle, that might work. But when you're talking about bulk logistical shipments from warehouse to warehouse, that technology currently doesn't exist.
So some of the challenges associated with logistics and supply chain of advanced therapeutics are certainly in the autologous model. It's the collection of the patient material and the managing of the journey of that material to the manufacturing site. So you have to control the time it spends, the temperature. So all of those conditions are critical to receiving those samples in good condition. Then once you've done the manufacturing, you have all the same issues again. If it's a fresh product, you're very limited in the amount of time you have to ship it. You're limited in the temperature extremes that can be coped with in that environment, in the shipping environment. And also, you want to make sure that you keep a track of all those conditions. So you need to measure the time, track the temperature. If you have an out of temperature event, you actually have to then decide what you do with that. So there's a lot of complexity about delivering fresh project and even frozen product that way, because if you have a thawing event, then your product is deviated from the standard operating procedure. So what do you do with that? So it asks many questions about the condition of the product and the initial sample coming into the process. So the wider life science industry has a number of processes established for the logistical issues and shipment and control. I guess the key difference with the cell and gene therapy market is really you're dealing with a once-off product. So if you have an out-of-spec event, then you actually have to make a decision. Do we use that product? Is there some benefit to the customer in that? Could it harm them? Or do we throw that product away? So in the general life science industry, it's a cost that you've incurred and you throw it away. In this case, it might be the only treatment that patient can ever have. So they potentially could die for lack of that treatment. So that drives a decision loop about what do we do and is it safe to administer to that patient.
I mean, I think that cellular therapy as a manufacturing environment is going to have to be quality-led rather than regulatory-led. And I don't think those environments exist. I mean, certainly logistically and from an equipment standpoint, we're not in a position right now to actually take that leap.
I think, of course, there are regulatory drivers for track and trace in the logistics step, but I think it's more about patient safety and scale. Sure, of course, the regulators are their principal concern is patient safety, as you would imagine it is. But I think that's what we must be thinking about when we look at how we manage within a complex supply chain that very complex logistics step. So how do we ensure that delivers a safe therapy to a patient at the end of the process?
So to my feelings, the need for track and trace of cold chain products is primarily a patient safety and a patient treatment issue. Sure, the regulators are interested in making sure you have that problem under control, but their general driver for their knowledge is the need to ensure patient safety. So to me, that comes back to patient safety.
I think there's a sort of fundamental understanding of the concept of cold chain. I mean, in terms of keeping information on material kind of from cradle to grave, for want of a better word. I think the issue, and this is generally actually across the industry, is that the way that we record information about environments is very specifically that. In other words, if you read the regulations for, say, storage of cryopreserved material, it says keep a record of the temperature of a freezer, and then somewhere over here you keep a list of the stuff that's theoretically in it, and that the connection between those two is at that level. There's nothing that really creates an unbreakable bond between the location of a sample and its environment.
In terms of temperature control and cold chain, there are a number of products in the industry that are available for shipping products around. So I think that the solutions are out there, adequate solutions are out there. What is needed is the continual driving down of cost to achieve, to reduce the component of the final treatment cost that is involved in the shipping a product around. And we've seen over the last few years a number of advances in technology, both in devices for thawing product on delivery, but also lightweight and low-cost shippers for shipping that product around, and also the temperature tracking whilst the product's in transit. So there are a number of very good solutions to that problem that are available now, and what we need to do is to have those continue to mature and continue to drive the costs down.